Saying we have several things to talk about, none of what you wish to hear, none of what you're going to wish to hear. The process of acclimation. The process of acclimation, what we call the upper room, to what we call the upper room, is a passage of integrity, is a passage of integrity in those aspects of self. And those aspects of self that are not in alignment, that are not in alignment with the truth of who you are, to the truth of who you are, must be seen, acknowledged, loved if you wish, or at least accepted in order to be able to be known, in order to be able to be reknown. You cannot reknow what you deny. You cannot reknow what you deny. And to reknow something, and to reknow something is indeed to see it anew, is indeed to see it anew. Now some of you say, I wish a spiritual path. I wish a spiritual path. And you wish it to be convenient to you, but you wish it to be convenient to you. It's rarely convenient. It is rarely convenient to the personality who has believed herself to be the queen of heaven, who has believed herself to be the queen upon the throne, or the king upon his throne, to know the self, as of God, is in some ways to release the mantle, is in some ways to release the mantle that you are indeed it, and you alone, God is as all. God is as all, or as no one, or no thing, or no thing. Now, to know the divine is who you are. Now, to know the divine as who you are is in fact to release the need, to be special, or to be spiritual, or to be spiritual in a conventional way. You are simply claiming what is. You are simply claiming what is. You are not aspiring to it. You are not aspiring to it, nor trying to make it so, nor trying to make it so. You cannot make it so. You cannot make it so. It is already so. It is already so. But to rely upon this aspect of self, to allow it to be as you, but to allow it to be as you, and claim each aspect of you, and claim each aspect of you as of itself, is a process of great transition, The attunements offered you thus far, in some ways preparatory, are in some ways preparatory for where we should take you, for where we wish to take you. You have claimed the word, which is the initial initiation, to the high octave, and the permission granted, through your will to know the self in a higher way, The claims of truth we offered you following that. I know who I am, what I am, I serve. I know who I am, what I am, how I serve, are preparatory as well, to where we should take you, The realization of these claims, what some would call enlightenment, is what some of you would call enlightenment, what we would call realization, but we would call realization. We teach realization, and we teach realization because realization may be known in the body, because realization may be known while embodied. Enlightenment for some of you is a carrot on a stick, that you may chase into the afterlife, But to truly know who you are, as to the divine all things, is to know the divine in all things, because the divine is as all things, once realized. Now, the claim we offered you at the end of the last teaching, I'm free, I'm free, I'm free, I am free, I am free, I am free, is also a claim of truth, because the divine self or monad, as you is always free, It is eternal, it expresses beyond time, but may express through time, so you may comprehend it, The claim I am free. The claim I am free is permission to move beyond the legacy of predicated future, of a predicated future, and a future predicated, upon historical data, which will always limit you to a precursor, an idea of what has been, or an idea of what has been. When you know yourself is free, you may live the ideal of freedom in a way you wouldn't understand. In a way, slow down. You may not experience prior. Now, the claim I am free. Now, the claim I am free is actually preparation, is actually preparation, what we call the upper room, for what we call the upper room, which is a higher octave, which is a higher octave of vibration expression, of vibration and expression. To know the self here, to know the self here is actually lift beyond fear, is actually to lift beyond fear. Fear expresses in the lower octave. Fear expresses in the lower octave. It is how you have known yourselves. It is how you have known yourselves, many ways we're born into, and in many ways what you have been born into. The belief in separation. The belief in separation is the primary claim of fear, is the primary claim of fear, and the primary act of fear. And the primary act of fear is what we call the denial of God, is what we call the denial of God, or the denial of the divine, or the denial of the divine. All fear is, the denial of the divine, is the denial of the divine. Now, please do not mistake prudence for fear. Now, please do not mistake prudence for fear. If you are walking and a car comes toward you, please step out of the way. Please step out of the way. Don't be afraid of walking. Don't be afraid of walking. Don't mistake adrenaline. Don't mistake adrenaline for acting in fear, for acting in fear. Self-preservation is perfectly acceptable, and all of that. And not only that, it is a necessity. It is a necessity for you to maintain a body if you are to maintain a body. Now the upper room operates beyond fear, operates beyond fear. But living in a basement apartment, if you have been living in a basement apartment, you may know the view from the transom window. You may know the view from the transom window. And you move to the 24th floor. When you move to the 20th floor, there's a very different view. There's a very different view. You don't hear the traffic. You don't hear the traffic as you did from the basement. As you did from the basement, you have lifted beyond it. You have lifted beyond it. You're not denying that there's traffic there. You are not denying that there is traffic there, which would be bypassing, as some of you call it, you are simply no longer in coherence. You are simply no longer in coherence with that level of accord, with that level of accord. Now, the upper room may be taught, and you may indeed abide here, and you may indeed abide here. What we intend to do with our classes and in subsequent texts, is to actually align you, at a level of agreement, you no longer believe, where you no longer believe you are walking a tightrope. You are walking a tightrope to maintain the high vibration, to maintain the high vibration. You become accustomed to the higher octave, and you found your foundation here, and you find your foundation here. To have a foundation in the upper room, is to operate in faith, You're no longer relying. You are no longer relying on the personality structure to meet all your needs, Instead, you're aligning to the idea of grace. You're aligning to the idea of grace, which is that your needs may be met, prior to asking, that you may be supported, that you may be supported without grabbing for support, You may know God, that you may know God as present, without beseeching God to be present, The denial of God, or the claim of the absence of the divine, or the claim of the absence of the divine is the primary problem, the only problem really that humanity faces. Anything you do in fear is operative at this level. To re-know the self as worthy of God, is actually a primary mission, of our teachings. You were taught to know the self, or to believe you needed to be saved, or believe that you needed to be saved from something outside the self, the inherent divine, call it the Christ, or the monad, or in any religion, you will find a name for the inherent divine. You will find a name for the inherent divine is as present for you now as it can never be. And finally, it seeks your permission, or agreement, or agreement to be realized at this level, to be realized at this level. Now embodiment is not escaping the world, is not escaping the world, it's not eschewing your difficulties, it is not eschewing your difficulties, it's meeting them in a new way, it is meeting them in a new way, and knowing the self in a higher accord, and knowing the self in a higher accord or higher benefit, or higher benefit that you may have thus far, than you may have thus far. It does not take you out of your life. It does not take you out of your life. It lifts you and your life. It lifts you and your life to a new level of vibration, to a new level of vibration when you operate at this level. When you operate at this level, indeed, you become the doorway. Indeed, you become the doorway, or the transposer, or the translator of what expresses in low field, of what expresses in low field to what can be lifted, to what can be lifted or reknown through the upper room, through the upper room. Now we will offer you this attunement. Now we will offer you this attunement. We may begin again here tomorrow, and we may begin again here tomorrow. We would like to teach the rest of the class. We would like to teach the rest of this class from the upper room with you in attendance here, with you in attendance here. You may close your eyes if you wish. You may close your eyes if you wish. You may say these words one last time. You may say these words one last time. I know I'm in truth. I know who I am in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. I am free. I am free. I am free. And now you may, if you wish, speak these words. Speak these words. I'm in the upper room. I am in the upper room. I know myself in the upper room. I am expressed in the upper room. Feel this, please. Notice the vibrational shift, and notice the vibrational shift that may respond to these claims, that may respond to these claims. Now, the upper room. Now, the upper room is simply another octave, is simply another octave. Any song may be sung. Any song may be sung in a higher octave, into infinity, beyond what the ears can hear, beyond what the ears can hear, or the vocal cords can sing, or the vocal cords can sing. Your frequency may indeed be transposed, or in fact resung, in higher accord from this place. From this place, the true self may announce itself. The true self may announce itself as made manifest, the claim we offer you. The claim we offer you from the upper room is the spoken expression of the monad, or divine spark, if you prefer, and you will speak these words now, knowing that they are spoken, through the aspect of self, that claims the I am self, that knows itself as here, that knows itself as here. You may say these words. I have come. I have come. I have come. Feel this, yes. Let these words be sung through you. Let these words be sung through you. I have come, I have come, I have come. I have come. I have come. I have come. Now, when the claim I have come is invoked. In fact, what you are doing is giving agreement, to all aspects of self, to be reknown, resung, rearticulated in the upper room, where there is no fear, the purgation or release or reacclimation may benefit from, that you may benefit from, will always come in stages, you may manifest, so that you may manifest at the new level, and become confident about your purview here, the purview of the divine self, the purview of the divine self, what the true self agrees to and with, what the true self agrees to and with, will never be in fear, because the true self expresses beyond it, because the true true self expresses beyond it. Now, to know the self is feel. Now, to know the self as fearless is not the promise here, is not the promise here. You may choose fear. You may choose fear. Go back downstairs as you prefer. Go back downstairs as you prefer, and you may learn your lessons there if you wish. And you may learn your lessons there if you wish. Or pretending not to be fearful. You are not pretending not to be fearful, but you are aligning to a level. But you are aligning to a level of coherence, where fear is no longer operative, where fear is no longer operative. And you have the choice, and you have the choice not to choose from it, not to choose from it. If you're activated fearfully, you simply have work to do. You simply have work to do, something to clear or re-know, accept or love the transition some of you undertake. The transition some of you undertake is fairly rapid. You can see the new colors. You can see the new colors that present themselves, You can begin to hear. You can begin to hear beyond the ears, You can begin to feel. You can begin to feel what expresses energetically beyond your idea of feeling, beyond your idea of feeling. All of these things are of benefit. All of these things are of benefit, but none of them are the point. But none of them are the point. If there is a point, it's your own ability. It's your own ability to begin to know the self, to begin to know the self as you truly are, in agreement to the source of all things, to release the need for separation. To release the need for separation as the primary tool for learning, is an enormous, other word, task to understand the self, and to understand the self as worthy of this is something to agree, is simply to agree that it can be so, that it can be so. You may say this if you wish. You may say this if you wish. I am in the upper room. I am in the upper room. And now to everyone present, and now to everyone present on this conference. I see you in the upper room. I see you in the upper room. I know who you are in truth. I know who you are in truth. I know what you are in truth. I know how you serve in truth. You have come, you have come, you have come, you have come, you have come. You have come. Now, the transition you undertake through this process has claimed itself as and through you, as and through you. You are not commanding the ship. You are not commanding the ship. It is invoked by the divine. It is invoked by the divine. Your soul is present. Your soul is present, commandeering the ship that would carry you forth to a new land, to realize the self through the upper room. To realize the self through the upper room is to become the doorway to it, You must understand this. You become in some ways the portal between systems of agreement. The laws are not the same. What we call the upper room and what we call the upper room, because you are operating beyond the linearity that you've ascribed so much power to, that you have ascribed so much power to. The divine as you expresses beyond time, but as we say, may know itself in time through your experience. Our intention for each of you is realization at the level you choose or agree to. We drag no one to the altar. We do not have the ability. Nor would we if we could. We honor free will. And your agreement to this, your choice to align to the upper room, to the upper room and manifest through there. And manifest through there is your agreement to be, to simply be. It is not about getting something. The gifts of the kingdom will be discussed tomorrow, The kingdom as we describe it, is the realization of the divine in all manifestation. God must be present in all things. God must be present in all things. The system that produces all manifestation, that produces all manifestation, or nowhere at all, or nowhere at all. All is holy. All is holy, or nothing can be, or nothing can be. We will discuss the challenges. We will discuss the challenges of this in coming classes. In coming classes, we know them well. We know them well. But to know God is to know the self is worthy, is to know the self is worthy, to know the self is worthy, and to know the self is worthy is to claim the kingdom, is to claim the kingdom. It is indeed your inheritance. It is indeed your inheritance, your birthright, and indeed in the kingdom, and indeed in the kingdom you may know grace. You may know grace. We will invite you all to be spoken to at this level, And as we speak now, and as we speak now, we speak to each of you. We speak to each of you. The divine is each of you. The divine as each of you that is here, 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 that seeks to be sung through you each, that seeks to be sung through you each, known by you, and expressed in truth. And expressed in truth, we will say these words on your behalf. We will say these words on your behalf. We see you in your beauty. We see you in your beauty. We see you in your right to be. In all you have known and may know, as we speak these words. And as we speak these words, we don't say them with us, we invite you to say them with us. I am with each one present. I am word through each one present. I know who you are. I know what you are. I know what you are. I know how you serve. I know how you serve. And now you may say this. And now you may say this. I am in the upper room. I am in the upper room. I am free. 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 Thank you for your presence. You're saying thank you for your presence and good night. And good night. So, thank you. Yes, they're saying thank you. Yes. So, I'm going to say thank you each and good night.